right, welcome back to BarstoolBuddhas. I'm Jai.
Rip.
He is. So, we got a few things to talk about today. A lot of stuff going on the internet, and a lot of stuff going on everywhere. People might be getting a little burned out by hearing this. You know, I mean, we don't want to be...
Everybody's talking.
Yeah, we don't want to be another newscast, broadcast thing. We just want to comment on a few things. Try to find some humor in it so we can get through the day without, going and doing a DC thing, running into a post or something to make a point. We'd rather make it like this, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, somebody got killed.
Yeah, it keeps the insurance down, too. So, anyway, Rip's got a list of things we're going through, but we wanted to go over this real noteworthy situation going on. It's a little dated at this point, but we really feel strongly about this. So we have a special guest this morning, Mr. Potato Head. Or I don't know if he's Mr. anymore. According to the media, he's not. And so just for the YouTube censors, we're claiming fair use because he's a newsworthy event and we saw him on TV. So we're not promoting this toy, this device, denigrating it in any way. We're simply talking about it as a news event. Wave bye-bye. There we go. So we have decided we know how to probably give some suggestions about how to eliminate all the stuff about Mr. Potato Head. We think all they have to do is put a detachable penis.
That would work. In
there, and then maybe some Kool-Aid colored wigs you could put on, get rid of the mustache, or even
the mustache still be optional.
You could have a Kool-Aid colored. So that should make everybody happy. So we could have Potato Head for the world. We are the Potato Head, LBGTQPH. We got it all. So enough of that because we're going to offend somebody with that.
Bald potatoes.
Yeah, if we're not offending somebody, we're
not doing our job.
Oh, absolutely. So that's all I had to say about that. I think it's a shame. I grew up with a Mr. Potato Head. My dog ate it, I think, and we wept for weeks. But, at least they don't have a French one. I think what you have to do to put that together, all the little pieces, a French fried Mr. Potato Head. Okay, so we're done with that. So what do you got, Rep?
Gosh, everybody's getting canceled. Start out with Mr. Potato Head, but now the MLB is going to be backing down out of Georgia over the voting laws that they put in.
Yeah, well, they're picking on Georgia. They're afraid of Georgia because it's a stronghold of people who just don't want to be run over. I read those voting laws.
Right.
Did you read that? Yeah. Did you see anything in there that seemed unreasonable?
No, nothing at all.
So, first of all, you had to be a citizen of the United States, at least in federal elections, as far as I know. California's got some election laws that they let. If you can walk in under your own power, or somebody can drag you successful, you can vote. But most of the places, it's a citizen situation. So what's wrong with proving you're a citizen when we know there's millions and millions of people in this country that rightly or wrongly are not citizens? Now, I personally believe that they're not entitled to vote. And so having a voting law that says you got to prove who you are, you can only vote once. If you want to absentee vote, you have to ask for that. That's stuff that's been in play for a long, long time.
Absolutely.
And I'm truly perplexed from a logical standpoint why the Democrats and the liberals claim that that's some sort of voter discrimination or limits the right to vote. Screaming about Jim Crow laws, or Biden says Jim Eagle, whatever. So
on
I don't,
steroids.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that myself, and that probably makes us part of the problem.
Well, the White House and the media first came out and totally misrepresented what the law was. They said polls would close at 5 o'clock. It was still 7 o'clock. They're just insisting that people have proof before getting an absentee ballot. These are just sensible things. Well, now you've got to have a card to prove that you've been vaccinated. Do anything probably going forward. Your new national ID.
I have mine. I am vaccinated, so, the whole thing about Georgia to wrap Georgia up, good for Georgia. They're taking care of their state. They're trying to ensure fair elections and that kind of stuff. So at least it's due diligence on a process that's very near and dear to all of us. The fact that Coca-Cola and Delta and all those people are complaining about it and whatever, I'm really worried about this corporate intervention.
Corporatocracy.
Yeah, and they're letting these corporations basically second source your civil rights under the Constitution. That's what it's leading to. So anyway, but I got this now, and they tell me it's good till the next time I have to have a booster. Okay, good deal with that one. So Have you had a shot yet?
Not yet.
Yeah, you're not in the group, right?
No.
You're still immune.
Maybe
Well, I saw something.
Last one standing when it's all said and done.
Somebody sent me something, and I think it was fake news, but I'm not sure. It was a graph, and it had check boxes for vaccinated, not vaccinated, and it had a little green check and a red X for the things you could not do once you're vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the only thing you could do if you're vaccinated was have more close relatives in your house at one time. I think it was a comedy thing, but I'm not sure because you can never tell when you listen to the CDC from day to day. I mean, they contradict themselves, so it's like just, go do what you need to do. So I don't know how long this is going to go on. You're starting to see signs of people just checking out on it.
Oh, yeah. Fewer and fewer people wearing their mask in stores. And
Well, I go in hospitals, and I was in one this last week doing some work, and you go in, you check in, you do the whole thing, and that's great, that's fine, and everybody's wearing a mask and whatever. But you get 3 steps from the hospital, even in Alabama, which is a little more locked down than we are here. The first opportunity, you just see them going, I know I do that. But I just see people are getting really burnt out with the whole thing,
No.
I think I'd have been better off if I just posted a list of stuff that's going to happen, has to happen, and didn't change for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Put the game plan out there. Let's see if it pans out. You can redo it later and see if it worked, and then you can tweak it a little bit here and there. But you're trying to lead a herd of 330 million people around and change directions every day. Try that on farm animals. You just cannot do that. It's like turning a huge ship. You can't just turn
Exactly.
it. Yeah. So.
But they're getting it turned.
They're trying. Well, I see where France locked down again, and another 30 days and it will be under control.
That was a year ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm tired of talking about the virus. What do you got? What else you got there?
I don't know.
Well, we don't have our teleprompter on. We're busy looking at ourselves in the teleprompter. So. You talked about the MLB thing and the border crisis. Yeah, the border crisis is amazingly, what a mess. You see all those films that are finally coming out of that, the pictures.
Yeah. They try to stop the media from covering the story.
Yeah. Well, whatever else you have to say about it, it's a human crisis down there.
Yeah.
These kids being dropped over walls, and there's a huge level of desperation in these folks.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? We're enabling that tragedy by not having clear laws, by not having a clear process. It's like the COVID thing. Whoever's in charge, whatever day it is, who's thinking this, who said that, whatever happened, changes it. And these people come from Guatemala, rightly or wrongly. All they know is if I hit the border and I get across, Mr. Biden's giving me all this stuff. I saw one of the coyotes the other day. Those
being
coyotes.
interviewed.
They interviewed. It's a booming business. Mr. Biden's giving away all these free benefits, and we're making a killing. People are coming.
You've traveled a lot. You've been to a lot of countries around the world. Have you ever crossed into any area without proper ID, identification, and approval?
Well, let me put it like this. You can't get to Australia unless you fly in or float in, and they got that thing locked down. You ain't coming in without papers. China. You may go in without papers, but you're never coming out. You're never coming out. And, I've been to Israel a few times. They don't mess around, man. I mean, even when you go down south of Jerusalem and you go into Bethlehem, that's in the Palestinian area, they tell you before you go, do you have your passport? Because you're not coming back into Israel without that passport. So, and if you try, it's not a good thing. There's a 40-foot wall, electric fence, a lot of people with very used-looking M16s.
So what's wrong with us?
I don't know. I've tried to figure it out. Well, I think the bottom line is we try to be the example of taking care of people. And we don't do that real well sometimes, but we still hold the lamp out as that hope. But we've made a mess of the bureaucracy that goes along behind it.
There's a reason there's a weight limit on elevators.
Is there?
Yeah. You can only put so many people on a ship,
Well,
that's just logical, right?
Well, that makes sense to me, yeah. But
we're in a broken, falling elevator, and we're stopping at floors picking up more passengers.
Well, it's just it's a bigger issue. The world's overpopulated, and William Shatner, Captain Kirk had an interview a few years ago, and I watched it. He basically boiled it into population. He said, when the water supplies in the oceans have become sewers, we got too much going on, too many people. Yeah, that's the bottom line, and it is. All this that you see, all this turmoil, there's just too many people. Resources are starting to, well, they've always been in the hands of a few.
Right.
There's always been many that didn't have it, and I'm not a socialist. That wasn't a. But for whatever reasons, that's all being exacerbated by even if there's climate change, if there's not, whatever. We're at such a tipping point with the population that every little thing matters. And these borders all over, we saw what happened in Europe a few years ago when ISIS come trumping through. They overwhelmed the systems that support. They just upended any equilibrium in Europe, and everywhere that they went, it wasn't particularly their issue, but I think we're going to see a lot more of this. Unless Mr. Gates figures out a way to eliminate about 2/3 of the population, which is his dream, little Billy's wet dream. Let's depopulate the whole Western Hemisphere.
Yeah.
So that's going to be an interesting situation in the years to come. But back here at home, this mess was just. I wanted to talk about Harry's razors.
And?
Did you hear about Harry's razors?
No,
Now,
Harry's razors.
this is not a sponsorship, so no, we're not. I use Harry's razors, but you see, I don't use them very often. Down here's Harry.
They last a long time.
This is Harry's territory right here, right down here. But anyway, I really like the razors, always have. And I was watching a guy on the YouTube. His name's Michael Knowles. You ever watch Michael Knowles? He actually moved to Nashville and got a nice show. But the other day, somebody sent a tweet out and it said that he's a racist or whatever, a number of things, because of an interview he gave with Candace Owens about a year ago. I listened to that interview. I was not offended in any way, and I tried to be the people who would be offended.
Right.
It was a touchy subject, but I think he handled it well. But at any rate, this person tweeted that it was disgusting. How can Harry's razors do business with these people? And so Harry saw it and sent a huge, New Agey, New Wing, ultra-left apology, and they can't do this and they'll never do that and whatever. So they canceled the sponsorship with Michael Knowles. But here's the bottom line. The person that tweeted it had 2 followers. So there's this anonymous person in the world who saw this and sent one tweet with 2 followers that got picked up on, and these people canceled their sponsorship. That's just, if we keep going this way, this is going to be French Revolution Part 2.
He's always remind me, every neighborhood had that one kid that playing ball or whatever, didn't get his way, he'd take the ball and go home.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly how the mentality is of these people.
Oh, no, they're not taking the ball and go home. They want to end your life with the ball. We're going to take the ball, but only after we've cleansed the ball with your blood. I remember growing up, and I'm starting to sound like my grandfather, even look like my grandfather. But, there was such a thing as forgiveness, redemption, hope of a second chance. And now, if you did anything in your life that comes to light, no matter what else you've done, it cancels everything out. I mean, you take people like, let's pick on somebody everybody loves to not like. Lyndon Johnson. LBJ. But here's the thing. LBJ had a penchant for calling black people a lot of things. I don't think he really liked black people or minorities, from what I've heard. I never spoke to him. But actually, he did a lot of work behind the civil rights movement. And he had the Great Society and things that really did push the whole thing forward. But yet, when and if, and they will go back and start talking about Mr. Johnson, he's probably going to get canceled in a number of ways. And it really is discouraging because one of the promises you had about living in America, at least when I was raised, what I was told was, keep your nose to the ground. So try to do the right thing. If you fall down, if you make a mistake, say I'm sorry, fix it, go on and build your life and keep pushing up till you get where you want to be. Well, with that model, you're going to make mistakes and things are going to happen. If they look into anybody's past, they're going to find garbage. I mean, it's just the way human beings are messy animals. They make big mistakes. Some people make bigger mistakes. Can you imagine them canceling Gandhi in India? Well, when he was 12 years old, he was lusting after the neighbor's daughter. We got to do away with this. Give India back to England tomorrow. Tell all the Muslims they got to go back into India. There's no more Pakistan. Just cancel the whole thing. I mean, it sounds like this a little hyperbole, but it's getting to the point. It's just getting to that point. And I'm like, what the hell? Man, if they look into my past, they'll probably take my camera away from me. I think Serene's going to take my camera away from me. Many people are lining up for that. But anyway, that's just nagging and moaning and carrying on. But, the good news is it is spring, and a lot of states are freeing people up to go do what they're doing. And a lot of people, there must be some kind of vitamin or supplement that I haven't seen out there, because some people are actually growing a pair and going back out into public anyway. And
taking the mask off.
Backbones are growing stronger. Maybe it's something they're putting in the food. I don't know. But, business will always win as far as the money. Yeah. There's a lot of people want this economy to go back the way it was and get healthy. That's always a push. And there's a lot of people who want their freedom back and they want their life back. So you can trust in a lot of that. It's going to probably look a lot different than it used to. But don't give up.
Keep the faith.
Keep the faith. Yeah, hope is what keeps everybody going. So that's a lot of heavy stuff for our second thing. But, we're going to make sure this guy is culturally compliant now. We don't want any more cancellation going. We maybe ought to take this off for the rest of the show. Does it come off?
It does. You got to take the nose off first.
You got to take the nose off first. There you go. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. Looks like kind of like Dave Chappelle there. I like Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
That guy, he doesn't cut any corners.
No.
And he just tells it like it is. Doesn't matter which side he's on. The way he presents things, he could be saying something you're completely opposed to, but he says it in such a way that's like, I need to think about that.
Yes.
Many people need to be doing that, because we don't all agree, do we? We don't get along.
Well, now our media wants us to think there's only one side to the story. You don't need to hear the other side.
Oh, yeah.
Lester
Holt.
Our favorite Lester Holt.
Lester, what happened? What happened? Damn.
You don't need to know the whole truth. You just listen to what we say. You couldn't write this 15 years ago, except Orwell and Vonnegut and all them did it about 50, 60 years ago. But that the media would actually be sitting there telling you, don't pay any attention to the man behind the curtain.
Well, I think it's ironic because Lester Holt took over from Brian, what was his name, Brian Williams?
Yeah.
Who got caught saying some things that weren't exactly so, or that was the premise. And so, but if only one side matters, why doesn't Brian still have a job? Poor Brian. He must be sitting there, man, I did that too early, man. I missed my timing on that one.
Man, propagandist dream.
Yeah. So, do you got anything else for today?
That's it.
Well, we'd like to leave you with a little bit of Barstool Buddha philosophy here, maybe something to go on. Have a beer once in a while. Don't stress out so much. Hold to your principles and keep hope alive. But keep it out of sight. Somebody might step on it. See you guys later.